Azathoth, also known as the Great Evil Beast, the Great Darkness, the Shadow of God, and the Ultimate Darkness, is a being that is outside of God's creation. It is the soul of darkness itself, a complete absence of divine light. It is said to be the shadow of God, for when light was first cast there was already shadow. As a result, Azathoth is supposedly equal to the power of the Almighty. It is his opposite who existed before creation. There can be no definite description of the amorphous entity known as Azathoth, its appearance so incomprehensible that the mere sight of the entity has been known to shatter minds. Some believe that the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, known as Sagittarius A, may be a mentally projected manifestation of Azathoth. According to some of his followers in the Brujeria, his body is composed of all the bright stars of the visible universe, but his face is veiled in darkness. H.P. Lovecraft describes him as an amorphous blight of nethermost confusion which blasphemes and bubbles at the center of all infinity. History Genesis. It is believed Azathoth dwelled in the void of space long before creation itself. When God said, "Let there be light," the light that illuminated from his hand cast a shadow upon the waters of chaos, and from that interaction sprung God's dark half. Azathoth was bombarded with the light upon awakening and became extremely enraged as a result. Azathoth emerged from the dark primordial waters of chaos and warred against the Almighty. Azathoth's emergence also gave birth to the concept of evil, whereas God represents goodness. Azathoth is the absence of good. As such, the notion of evil itself can be traced back to Azathoth. Azathoth and Yahweh engaged in a fierce conflict with neither one gaining much ground given that they are both two sides of the same coin. As it is the shadow of God, it would also use the dark waters of chaos to form its own twisted creations. Due to being in the intolerable presence of the light, Azathoth violently thrashed in the waters of chaos, and spewed forth black flames from its mouths. The splashes of the darkness were caught in the flames that molded the Ogdru Jihad, who battled the first 5 archangels that were created in response by God and Asherah. Whilst the archangels were successful in destroying some of the outer gods, God was able to defeat Azathoth using the Nihilo mask to seal away the manifestation of darkness, imprisoning it with unbreakable bonds linked to the very foundations of the universe. Trapped within the Nihilo mask and lost in the endless void, Azathoth fell into a deep and seemingly endless slumber for eons. Birth of the Old Ones. Azathoth's slumber, however, did not go without consequence. As the entity slept, the abominable beings that fought alongside their creator managed to seep through the eye sockets of the Nihilo mask, but only these few are described in ancient tomes like the Necronomicon. The Ogdru Jihad spawned beings that came to be known as the Ogdruhem, ferocious creatures bent on spreading poison throughout the good work of the Almighty and finding ways to liberate their eldritch parents from their imprisonment in the outer verse. Although, despite having been created by the great evil beast, they seemingly acknowledge the threat it poses upon their own existence, as well as Azathoth is known to be so mindless it has no purpose, reason, or conscience. Therefore, upon its awakening they would most likely be destroyed alongside all of creation. Moreover, seeing as how Azathoth birthed the concept of evil, elements of said concept festered through the chains and infected the brilliance of creation, including its inhabitants. In response to their inevitable destruction from Azathoth's awakening, the Old Ones created the idiot flute players, eldritch deities who would hover over the chained mask of Nihilo, playing a horrendous cacophony of flute music and drums to keep the demon sultan asleep. The music would reverberate through the chains, imprisoning Azathoth within the mask, keeping him at ease. These chains are tied to certain parts of existence itself, requiring the destruction of fundamental aspects of reality in order to be broken. Personality. Being the shadow of God in every sense of the word, Azathoth is the complete and contrasting opposite of the Almighty. Serving as the counterweight of God, who is the supreme manifestation of love and creation, it is the ultimate personification of hatred, destruction, and every form of evil there is, making it the most maleficent entity in existence. It has enough knowledge and intelligence to communicate and perceive the universe and beings within it. While dubbed as the ultimate being of evil, the concept of good and evil or duality itself is completely foreign to it, as it is outside the creation of God. Thus all concepts which resides in his metaphysical circle are unknown to it. Thus, it is neither malevolent or benevolent, but entropy incarnate. A mindless, indifferent force of pure chaos. Furthermore, as the dark alter ego of God, Azathoth is an entity without a mind of its own, being practically mindless and acts little more than a beast that possesses only terrible desires, destroying all so that it no longer finds itself be bombarded by the light and creation. In spite of this purpose, the great evil beast still harbors what at least can be counted as its own goals. Azathoth genuinely does hate and fear the light and the mystery behind the purpose of creation, and its ultimate goal is to destroy everything in existence and to become the one remaining presence in it, leaving no stories and no life left to ever exist, which it only sees as a terrible noise. This noise is the reason why Azathoth is unable to properly think straight, and it cannot comprehend the concepts and beings which surround it, but only through the void where absolute silence reigns, allows Azathoth to freely understand what Lucifer proclaimed to it. Powers and abilities. Azathoth is a mind-shatteringly powerful entity and is regarded as being omnipotent, omnipresent, and omnimalevolent. As it is the shadow of God, in every sense of the word, it is arguably as powerful as the Almighty himself, though this is often debated given that God was able to defeat Azathoth before the creation of all things. However, a testament to Azathoth's power was when God fought the demon Sultan during the 6-day creation process of all existence, requiring the aid of the archangels and the primordial deities to also push back against Azathoth's own forces. Another was God literally chaining Azathoth with the chain spanning across the metaphysical streams of creation, with Azathoth itself centered in the nuclear chaotic darkness between life and death. As Azathoth is the shadow of God, it cannot create but only destroy. However, even when it does create, it does so involuntarily and out of sheer anger and confusion. Example was when Azathoth violently thrashed within the chaotic abyssal waters upon being bombarded with the light of God, and tumultuous waves of darkness led to the creation of the Ogdru Jihad. This accidental creation of the outer gods did not even register to Azathoth. Even when imprisoned, Azathoth's influence spread through the chains and seeped into creation from his dreams alone, which gave birth to the concept of evil, and thus Azathoth is the true source of all evil in existence. Azathoth's mere dreams were said to have threatened the balance of creation itself, reducing it to a cacophony of discord and disorder. This had God and Asherah take measures in placing barriers around the walls of their Genesis discs to prevent Azathoth's influence from tainting their work. When Azathoth was released, its slow awakening was not only tearing all of creation at the seams, but its mere awareness, for lack of a better word, was clashing with God's rules and thus dissolving existence. It quickly assimilated Samyaza, who attempted to become the vessel for the demon Sultan in order to rule in God's absence. It forced all the polytheistic deities to unite, and even hell armed itself for the impending arrival of the great darkness. When confronted by Michael and Lucifer, they both remarked that fighting Azathoth is akin to fighting their father, and its presence alone was suffocating even for them. Azathoth was able to shrug off blows from Lucifer using the flaming sword and Michael with his lance.